1.
Hey folks, we're back. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office. We're North Georgia's only live online morning show. As we open the show this morning, I said to you, you know what? Labor Day kicks off, Labor Day weekend. Right after that really kicks off the mad dash to the November election. And you will go to the mailbox every single day, and maybe with all of the candidates on the Republican and Democrat side and local candidates, you will get these push cards out of the mail by a dozen, maybe a day. Who pays for those? What is, when you hear dark money in politics, what is dark money in politics? And when you have something in a push card that has a false claim about a candidate, an opponent, how much time is there for the opponent to try to clear up the facts? So with me now, Atlanta Tea Party, Debbie Dooley, who filed an ethics complaint last week wanting to look into one particular source of dark money, asking the State Ethics Commission to look into that. Debbie, how are you today?
Doing great. It's always an honor to be on your show. You do great work.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. You know, I will tell you this. I was wondering, and I don't know why I was even wondering who would do it, but during the campaign, the dark money that was by the millions in this primary, I wondered to myself, who will step up and say, we can't let this happen in Georgia politics? And you've done that, and we appreciate you out here. Maybe some of us do appreciate you for looking into the dark money. Tell us why you filed this complaint, what the complaint is about, and what you're looking to get out of, or an answer to your complaint.
Well, I filed my complaint against the Georgia swamp drainers. There was a Hometown Freedom Action Network. William Perry, who is a government watchdog, had filed a complaint about 2 or 3 weeks ago against that group. The Georgia law requires, if you're an independent, if you are running independent expenditures, that you are required to register with the Georgia Ethics Commission, and that you are required to disclose donors if your purpose is to impact an election. I will read you the definition of an independent committee straight from the Georgia Ethics Committee site. It says independent committee means any committee, club, association, partnership, corporation, labor union, or other groups of persons which receives donation during a calendar year from persons who are members or supporters of the committee, which expends such funds for the purpose of affecting the outcome of an election for any elected office, or to advocate the election or defeat of a candidate. They must register and they must disclose their expenditure. These groups, like Georgia swamp drainers, exist to impact an election. They're not even an organized legal entity in any way. It's just a group of people that came together that decided we're going to send out these very false and fake mail pieces that impact the election, and we're going to keep all of our identity secret. Even the persons that organized the group and paid for the mail pieces, we don't know who that is, and that's wrong.
All right, well, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Not to interrupt you, but let me ask you a question. Are we not now Georgia swamp drainers? This group is this not the Trump supporters voter guide flyer? Are they responsible for that one? I want to be specific.
Yes, they are. They're also responsible for other voter guides that they actually have a website, a Facebook page too, but, it was Trump voter guides, and it was, voter guides that alluded to the fact that maybe Kirby Smart had endorsed Geoff Duncan.
Is that the one also? All right, there's two of them, and I want to be clear because I want to get back to Perry's complaint also. Now, William Perry's complaint, who is that against? May I ask you?
He's a government watchdog. He a lot of Tea Party folks.
Who did he make a complaint against to the ethics commission?
Hometown Freedom Action Network. This group spent over $3 million going after David Shafer. Over $3 million. Again, we don't know who donated that money. Essentially, in the Geoff Duncan campaign, I think it's like 80% of the money spent during that campaign came from people we don't know, that are secret, that are anonymous donors. The overwhelming majority, I think it's like 80%, came from people who, donations that was spent from people that are secret.
Now, let me get this clear, because so the shameful David Shafer, which made false accusations, made false accusations. That is the first group, not Georgia swamp dwellers. Okay, that put that in there.
Well, that was correct, but the Georgia swamp dwellers also sent out mail pieces, basically along the same line, attacking David Shafer.
Well, wait a minute. The Georgia, and I'm not being rude, but I got the one in the mail, Debbie, the day that I saw this in the mail. Kirby Smart, the head football coach, UGA. Said something like, Kirby Smart said, "You better get a good defense," or something.
Yes,
and
that was Georgia swamp drainers.
See, when I got that in the mail, I said, "Really? They're trying to give the impression that Kirby Smart is even involved in this?" And then the Trump voter guide. I don't mean to keep interrupting you, but I'm trying to get our listeners to realize those two pieces of mail. We don't know who paid for those, do we?
No, we don't. We don't know who paid for the Hometown Freedom Action Network either. And the bottom line is, there were other really bad mail pieces that were also sent out by Georgia swamp drainers. They have a Facebook page. Take a look at what they're doing. They put out mail pieces also that really went after David Shafer. I received 2 or 3 such mail pieces from them that were salacious attacks on David Shafer. We don't know. If we allow and interrupt me at any time, because this is a conversation, but we don't know who sent it. It's a blatant violation of Georgia election law. I ran an independent expenditure campaign some years ago against David Ralston. The donors, because my group's sole purpose was not impacting elections, I did not disclose the donors, because at that time I was following the election law and following what the Ethics Commission said needed to be done. I followed it to the letter. But you knew I was behind it. You knew that Debbie Dooley was the front person in this group. These Georgia swamp drainers, we don't have any name involved.
Well, what about if your critics? Okay, we're talking Republicans. We're talking Geoff Duncan is the Republican nominee for lieutenant governor going up against Mika on the Democrat side. So let's say, what if your critics said this morning, Debbie, you supported David Shafer, and you're just upset, so you file this ethics complaint. Now, let's be clear. It's not against Geoff Duncan. It just surrounds Geoff Duncan, correct? It's not against him, but it does surround their support of him, okay? which has a very close connection. What say you to your critics that say, oh, you just supported David Shafer and you're upset? So why did you file this?
Well, I mean, that's crazy that I supported David Shafer and I'm upset. I ran an independent expenditure campaign against Tricia Pridemore for PSC. I followed the laws that were in place. I followed the Ethics Commission guideline. I registered the Independent Expenditure Committee, and I disclosed donors because I followed the law. This has nothing to do with Geoff Duncan. His name was listed because he's a material witness, and I had to lay out the legal case. This has to do with standing against groups and a group of folks, elitists, that are so egotistical they think because they have money, they don't have to follow the election laws. And if they're allowed to get away with this, you can bet that they're going to use these very same tactics in future elections against conservative candidates. And they're also the Chamber of Commerce types and all of that with money. They're going to be going after conservative Tea Party candidates in future elections. Also, in November, you can bet George Soros sent millions of dollars to Georgia, and you can bet some of that money will use the same tactics that Georgia swamp drainers to go after Brian Kemp, to go after our gubernatorial nominee if this is not stopped, if we don't take a stand now. And I want to stress, this is a flagrant violation of Georgia law, but the folks behind it think, oh, because we have money or we're politically connected, the laws don't apply to us, and that's wrong.
Well, in Georgia swamp drainers, they definitely supported Geoff Duncan, so there's a lot of smoke around all of that. So we'll leave that there. But one of the things you brought up is you feel, although you got to put Republican aside no matter what, although, we try to see the Republican win for the most part, but putting that aside, this needs to stop now or be exposed now because we have Democrats that are going to do the same thing. And are waiting to.
Absolutely. Not only that, they're going to go after, they'll feel emboldened by this, and they're going to use the same tactics against, like, conservative candidates. Like, there was a big House race with Matt Gertler. You can bet next time they come after him, they'll just use one of these similar tactics that Georgia swamp drainers use. And that's wrong. We've got to take a stand now. Just like we stand up for the Second Amendment now, we nip it in the bud, because if you open up that door is going to become much wider and wider till the dam bursts. We have to do the same thing with these dark money groups. We have to take a stand now and say enough.
Well, Debbie, this has traction because over the weekend, I just in transparency, that's what we're talking about. You and I spoke over the weekend, and I've known you for several years. There are several articles from Gwinnett to Kennesaw to the AJC. This has the traction and is running right now through the media. Where do you stand on the complaint? You asked for it to be, I guess, expedited due to the sensitive nature of the timing of the election, because I will tell you this, I filed one in the past that they don't move very fast to resolve or have a hearing. So where is this? Where does this stand? What are you hearing? What have you been told?
Well, I sent the information and a copy of the complaint. I forwarded it to Gwinnett County District Attorney Danny Porter, because some of the allegations in the complaint are not within the purview of the Ethics Commission. It's in the purview. It violated election law. Like the mail pieces that were sent out did not show who sent them out, or that. It was a big violation of election law, which is in Danny Porter's purview, because it was hearing Gwinnett County. I forwarded him that. I have heard from activists and from folks on the left and right, and you're probably going to see a press conference at the Capitol. Josh McCoon, I reached out to him. He's concerned about this. And other activists are from across the political spectrum. I reached out to Common Cause, William Perry, other conservative activists, and you'll see a press conference at the Capitol this week denouncing the dark money groups and taking a stand against them.
Okay, just to wrap up, this is, although the smoke is clearly around Geoff Duncan's campaign against David Shafer, these attacks were directly against David Shafer to benefit Geoff Duncan, and that is probably two things: knowing who the money came from, who paid for this. But as you say, to influence an election, it definitely, the direct attacks were to influence that race, which actually ended, I think, 50.1 to 49.9 or something like that. Only about 1,700 votes separate. How do you feel this is going to reflect on the Republicans all the way down the line, or the Republicans campaigning right now in Georgia up against a lot of Democrat money, which you said George Soros is already sending in?
Well, number one, the communications director of Geoff Duncan's campaign admitted that the money spent by the dark money, the secret dark money groups that are, violated Georgia election law, impacted that election. They admitted it in an interview with AJC. If we don't take a stand, these very same tactics will be used against Republican candidates in November. How would you like it if someone sent out a mail piece with completely untrue, false accusations against you that affected your livelihood and your job and what you were doing, but the person violated the law by being anonymous? You didn't know who was behind it, so nobody faced repercussions from it. That's what this group has done.
Well, let me say this, and before we close, when I say you guys, you are connected to a lot of activists, watchdog groups around the state. Are you prepared? Is there a group prepared to do the same thing on the Democrat side in this election? Are people starting to look at where money's coming from and trying to investigate what's happening on the Democrat side? Because it's going to be a tough election with millions. I would say probably all the candidates from Lieutenant, I don't know, 500 million possibly. I mean, it's going to be crazy. Are you guys looking on the other side of the aisle?
Oh, yeah, well, absolutely we will. This is why we're going to hold this press conference, because we're going to warn candidates in both political parties to follow the election law, and if they don't, you're going to have a bipartisan group that will file ethics complaints against the group. I don't know of any Democrat candidate or if anything like this was used in the Democrat primary. I have not heard. I don't believe there was. But if the Democrats use these tactics, then you're going to have a bipartisan group of folks that are going to be filing ethics complaints against them as well. But if we send a strong signal, if we say enough is enough and we're not going to put up with this, then you can bet the Democrats, if something is done and this group faces repercussions, the Democrats will be less hesitant to use the same tactics. But if we do nothing, then you can bet they would do something similar. And this impacts not just the lieutenant governor's race. I mean, it has the potential to impact other races as well. And I know a lot of Republican elected officials are glad I'm doing something about it, because they realize that these same tactics, and I've spoken with a few, and they realize these same tactics could be used against them in future elections.
What about, let me ask you one more question before we close. From the critics' side of this discussion. What say if Republicans out there in Georgia are saying this morning that are listening, you know, Debbie, you just when you did this the scales of balancing out what was most important, you're just hurting Republicans right now that don't need this extra media, do not need to give Democrats raw meat to say, look what Republicans are doing, that could possibly hurt Geoff Duncan and be a drag on the rest of the ticket. So what say you to some Republicans that say this morning, Debbie, yeah, the dark money is a problem, but we don't know if you're not just hurting the ticket, and could you have waited, or, you know, what say you to possibly somebody criticizing you for doing this concerning the Republican ticket all the way up and down?
Well, you know, this will give Geoff Duncan a chance to exonerate himself of any wrongdoing by finding out who was actually behind the groups, because a lot of folks that were David Shafer supporters are livid about what happened. And, you know, they secretly believe that Geoff Duncan was behind it, so this gives him a chance to exonerate himself. Again, if we do nothing, it's going to have an impact on the entire ticket, because all this George Soros money will pour in, and that these groups will use the same tactic and accuse our nominees of God knows what, because the Georgia swamp drainers got away with it, and they feel like they can get away with it. So it has the potential to impact our entire Republican ticket. And number one, I mean, since when do Republicans not believe in following Georgia law? Are they okay with the law being violated? Are they okay with the laws being violated because it helped a Republican? That's wrong.
Well, you know, you did touch on the actual campaign for Geoff Duncan, and I want to say with you, and if you want to follow up on it, I'd love for you to do that. I said, as the dark money was being spent, as I was receiving shameful David Shafer, as I was receiving a false, what I knew was false, Trump supporter voter guide, as I was looking at Kirby Smart telling, you know, if you elect David Shafer, you better get a good defense. As I noticed all that, to me, this is my personal opinion, I had a hard time believing that Geoff Duncan was so far removed from this money, he had no idea where it was coming from. This is my opinion. And I was very upset with him and his campaign for not calling it out then and saying it was disgraceful. Now, obviously, he was going to take the win no matter how he got it and maybe talk about it later. That being said, I am hearing a groundswell of David Shafer supporters that did not go away easy. Let's just talk about the elephant, no pun intended, Republicans in the room. David Shafer, Geoff Duncan did not attend the Unity rally, okay, did not. John Watson had, and I support that, you know, good Unity rally. Casey Cagle did the right thing, and with Brian Kemp, my opinion, there that night, and the Republicans made an attempt, but they did not attend, Duncan or Shafer. Second, Duncan's statement, Geoff Duncan's statement for lieutenant governor said David Shafer's name, had David Shafer's name in there 8 or 9 times trying to appeal to Shafer's voters, but no time an apology. And David Shafer released what I call the straight Republican statement of, I will support the Republican ballot up and down the ticket, as I always have, thank you, God bless, and never mentioned Geoff Duncan's name one time. That being said, that is still very tender, very tender race to Republicans that supported David Shafer. And I'm getting my question, and you can make any comments you want on what I just said, but are you hearing, I'm hearing a groundswell of Shafer voters that say, I will just go to the ballot and pass Lieutenant Governor up. I'm not really hearing too many say they'll vote for Amika, but I'm afraid that could happen. And then I'm also hearing saying, I'll vote for the Libertarian. What say you on everything I just said?
Well, I totally agree, because I'm hearing the same thing that you're hearing. I can't tell you how many people contacted me and said, thank you for doing this. I mean, this was a Republican primary unlike anything that we've ever witnessed. Geoff Duncan still has not come out and said these groups violated the law and it was wrong. He has not said a word. In fact, the only statement from the Duncan campaign was in the article with the AJC where his spokesperson makes the statement, joking. He was joking about it, saying maybe we should just bring in Inspector Clouseau to investigate. So, I mean, if anything hurts the Geoff Duncan, campaign, it's these dark money groups. And the fact that Geoff Duncan is silent on it and has not taken a stand against them, these dark money groups hurt Geoff Duncan, and Geoff Duncan continues to hurt himself by not speaking out against a flagrant violation of Georgia election law.
Well, I have to ask. I've got to go, but if you'll answer another question or two, I've got to ask.
Yep.
Have you heard from any of the senators that you can talk about? I mean, this is all over senators, and I will tell you this. I'm aware of a lot of a good amount of senators, Georgia State Republican senators, backed David Shafer. Are you hearing from any of them? You said there's going to be a press conference.
But I'm not going to. I am hearing from them. I've heard from a few senators that are deeply concerned about what happened with the dark money group and thank me for proceeding forward. I'm not going to name names, but I absolutely, positively have heard from them. And, I mean, this is a thing. I mean, they go out and just assassinate David Shafer's character with wrong accusations and then, put out these fake voter guides that falsely implies that Donald Trump endorsed both Casey Cagle and Geoff Duncan and that Kirby Smart did. And yet they get mad because I'm actually saying you violated the law. And unfortunately, that shows where their mindset is. But I've not only heard from senators, I've heard from House members that are thanking me for what I'm doing.
Well, we have to do something about the dark money. That is for sure. I will agree with that. I'm going to agree with that statement. You have to take a stand. You got to do something about the dark money. And I thought, as long as I've been in politics or covered politics, I thought that campaign was about crossing as far as you could cross the line. And you're asking for something to be done on that. Debbie, I want to thank you very much for being on the show. I've run out of time. I can continue to talk about this, but I know there's more to come. Please keep us in the loop on anything you hear from the Ethics Committee as far as anything they're doing and when you're going to hold the press conference and what's going on there.
Okay, and thank you for allowing me on the show. And you're doing God's work, Brian, and you keep it up as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Okay, folks, we're going to take a brief break, and we're going to come back. I want to talk a little more about Georgia. Now, we're not going to leave national politics. We're not going to leave the media's failure this weekend, total failure to bring you white supremacy in the glorification of Trump voters. It did not happen. Omarosa is falling flat. People realize she got fired and got kicked out. So Omarosa is falling flat. Nobody's believing it. Nobody's taking her for her credibility is shot. So we're not going to leave that. But I want to talk about, while we're on Georgia State politics, stay with me, I want to give you my opinion on a couple things. And then we'll get back into national, I promise, right after this break.
Ace is your helpful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge, we have your new house in stock.
The Tupelo Tea mission is to provide over 80 premium tea blends for tea lovers who are looking for ways to explore new flavors and blends. Come visit Tupelo Tea, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge at Sycamore Crossing. Be sure to sample our various varieties of honey and tea. Visit us on the web at tupelotea.com or call us at 706-946-TEAS. That's TEAS. Tupelo Tea, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LOJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on-site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on-site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East LJ. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Hi, I'm Rhonda the Mattress Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in LJ next to Walmart.
And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in LJ next to Walmart.
Days ahead. It's Truck Month at Dave's Chevrolet in Jasper, and we're giving you a payload of savings. Now save up